let's move on to the Yankees. I said before this whole thing even got started, the Yankees stink again. And man, I kept telling Brig, I'm like, at least your team's over 500. I mean, the Mariners are still over 500, so I'm ecstatic right now. But the Yankees were sitting over 500 for a long time, and he said, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, he said something like, but it's more than that. It's that there are major issues in the clubhouse, in the dugout, like in the front office. There are some major issues, and it really came to light this last weekend. The Yes Network played a soundbite from Hal Steinbrenner. I think it was before the game on Sunday. Briggs sent this to me, and it was Hal Steinbrenner basically saying, like, this is on the players. The responsibility is on the players in this situation. They basically they're not trying. They're giving up. Is basically along the lines of what he said. And I was like, man, that's brutal. And like, he's not wrong. The players need to be held responsible for what's going wrong with the team because, uh, I'll go back to the Mariners real quick just because I'm a Mariners fan, for those of you who don't know, and have probably figured it out by now. But a lot of people I see on social media, a lot of people are calling for Scott Service to be fired. And I don't know why. I don't get it. Because the Mariners come back often from being down early. And not just like a few runs. Like, they'll come back from being down 6, 7 runs. A team with a manager who deserves to be fired will not do that. Because a manager deserves to be fired when his voice is no longer being heard in the clubhouse. And you can have a winning manager after 5, 6 years, and then that 7th year hits, and everybody's just like, okay, I'm done with him. I've seen it happen in Seattle with Pete Carroll. A lot of guys say, yeah, he's a college coach because he tells the same story every 3 years. Because he's used to college cycling through those guys. You get to the NFL, you stick around 3, 4 years, and you get sick of it. You stop listening to him. And it's the same thing in basketball. Eventually, the same points, driving home the same points, get old, and it happens in baseball. We've seen it. And guys will give up on their manager when they're ready for the team to move on. They'll be down 5, 6 runs, and they'll just quit on him. And I'm not saying that any team that gets blown out has quit on their manager. You can see when teams quit. You can tell. It's getting down 3 to 4 runs and not trying to take an extra base on a ball hit shallow in the gap. It's not coming hard around third base and trying to score on a ball that you have no business scoring on. I've seen Kyle Seager do that several times over the last couple weeks. He's gotten thrown out, but I don't care. Try to score. And the fact that he was coming around third base with not a whole lot of speed, by the way, trying to score on a ball that he had no business scoring on, that he was willing to try to get his body into that next year and score for his team, for his manager, it shows me that these guys haven't given up. In New York, from what I understand, it looks like this team has given up on Aaron Boone. And the problem that they're having is the front offices, they're putting it on the players because they're saying that it's their fault they're losing. And it probably is, because they may have given up on Aaron Boone. But if that's the case, you've got to get rid of Boone. You got to make some trades because you got to bring in guys who are willing to play. And maybe Boone is that first move. Get rid of Boone, bring in, some interim manager who can say, all right, you know what, guys, we're just going to stay afloat for the rest of the season. We're going to do the best we can. And guys are like, you know what, fresh voice at the helm. Let's follow him. Let's win for him. Just a little bit of a change. That's all we care about. That's all we need. Just some change. But it could be that these guys are just sick of Brian Cashman. Maybe they're sick of the way Cashman's running things. So they're still not going to play. In that case, either Cashman's got to go or they've got to start dumping players and find guys who are going to play and who are going to win. And, I mean, New York is a mess. The Yankees are a mess, and they need to – I mean, honestly, if I was Cashman, I'd option the first guy I could. If there's somebody on that team who, I mean, actually they did it. They did it with Wade. I saw somebody refer to him as a magazine model because he's just so pretty. As Tyler Wade was optioned back down to the minor leagues the other day, and maybe that's a message that they're like, okay, you know what? If you have not reached veteran status to be that you can't be optioned down to AAA, got a short leash, you can go. And guys who don't have a big contract, you're at risk of being designated for assignment. Anybody who I can trade, I will trade you. That's the message that I would send to Cashman. And some of those guys, maybe they do want out. Maybe Giancarlo Stanton wants out. He wanted to go to New York in the first place, but he has not played well since he's been there. And I guarantee that they can make a deal. They can cut a deal with somebody that if he needs to be traded, he can be traded. There is somebody who's going to be willing to take on some portion of that contract. Um, and if the Yankees are like, you know what, we'll pay him for the rest of the year, there's going to be somebody who's going to take on that contract because they're going to want Stanton in their lineup. Because as inconsistent as he has been over the last few years, as injured as he has been in the last few years, that is a big fat bat to have in your lineup. He's still dangerous. Stanton is still dangerous, and and just having the potential of a guy like that coming through for you in the eighth or ninth inning when you need it. He's only got to do it once. He's only got to do it one time in a playoff game, and your investment is paid off, in my opinion. But that's just the way I see it. So the Yankees are a mess. Expect some. I would think expect some deals to be made over the next couple weeks. This is the last thing about the Yankees. Garrett Cole was booed off the mound after 3 1/3 on Sunday. That's pretty bad. Pretty bad. He didn't pitch well. Like I said, 3 1/3, gave up 6 hits, walked 3, gave up 4 runs. He did strike out 6, but Cole, we've seen a steady decline since the sticky substance crackdown has come, and he says it's hard to hold on to the baseball. It's so hard to hold on to the baseball. Um, so I mean, he's obviously been majorly impacted by this, and maybe some of it is mental because of the mess that's going on in the clubhouse. I don't know, but those things compounding together seem like they're not going well for Garrett Cole. That's enough about the Yankees.